Thank you for tuning into the Real About Real Estate podcast with Michelle Hayward. Like, follow, and subscribe to continue to get the real about real estate.
Divorce is hard, but what if there was an easier, faster, and more cost-effective way to get you through it? Well, my guest that's here today, he will talk to you a little bit more about that so we can understand the how. Chris Simmons of Simmons Law Group. Great guy, phenomenal guy, and I want to tell you a little bit more about Chris. He graduated from Marquette University with a degree in political science. He transitioned from practicing family and criminal law in Wisconsin to founding Simmons Law Group in Arizona with his wife, Kate, together specializing in family law with a unique mediation program called Divorce in a Day. Beyond his legal career, Chris is an adventurous outdoors enthusiast, exploring Arizona's mountains and backcountry with Kate and their German Shepherd. With a diverse background, including yacht delivery to the Bahamas, Chris holds a Coast Guard-issued captain's license and maintains an active lifestyle, advocating for the energy benefits of a plant-based diet. Rich background, as you can tell, and there's a whole lot more about Chris that makes him so exciting, and I can't wait for you to hear from him. So, Chris, welcome.
Hi, Michelle. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate you setting this up.
Oh, definitely. I look forward to it. So let's get right into it. And one of the first questions that I want to ask you, I know our viewers and listeners will like to get a better understanding of what makes the difference between litigation, collaborative law, and mediation.
Yeah, great question. And really, that's what we talk a lot about when we set consults are the ways that you can approach the topic of divorce. Because, like you said, it's not really the most fun thing to talk about. And it's, really an unfortunate situation most of the time when you got to come to the family attorney's office. But the process it really is what creates such a negative stigma about divorce. And, traditional litigation, by and large, is still the way most people pursue divorce. There are two better options, one of them being a collaborative approach to divorce or our hybrid mediation program, Divorced in a Day, for couples that are ready for that. So I'm really encouraging of people to learn more about the process. It's not something most people are looking forward to doing, but there
Right.
is a better way to get through it than the,
Mhm.
the traditional, nightmare stories you hear about: unending fees, discovery and disclosure battles, constant court dates, re-upping of the retainers with the lawyers. What are we even fighting about? I don't even know anymore. So
Mhm.
that's kind of the focus of my practice. I want to have a collaborative and mediation focused practice.
Okay, well, great. And so that brings me to the next question, just to hear a little bit about Divorced in a Day. How did that concept even come about? And, if you could talk a little bit about if it's a type of mediation, is it a type of litigation? So how was that derived and who is that best suited for?
Yeah, excellent question. So the program is suited for anybody that I say is at least able to communicate with each other, right? We're obviously in the family lawyer's chair for a reason. The marriage is deteriorated and we need to resolve that issue. So what we do with couples who are pursuing the Divorce in a Day program is from the onset of the case, we decide we are not going to go to court. We're going to give the power to the people to solve their own divorce case. So basically, through a series of worksheets, we help parties who are signing up to do the Divorce in a Day program allocate the assets and debts from the marriage equitably because that's what the statutes require. This gives parties a wide latitude in how they're going to resolve their case. Many times a retirement account may be super important to one spouse, but preserving the equity and keeping the marital residence might be important to the other spouse. Well, neither of them may individually be able to buy the other out of either of those obligations. And
Hmm.
most lawyers aren't super savvy and willing to trade, large items like that. But when it's important to the people and that's what they want, we're here to help them effectuate orders like that. Same thing goes for the parenting plan. I want parties to develop a parenting plan that are going to make them good, productive co-parents. Divorce is an adverse childhood experience, and I really want to give parties the tools to be good, cooperative co-parents post-divorce. Not to mention, almost all post-divorce litigation is just such a nightmare to try to pursue, and the remedies in family court are so limited. So the whole point of Divorce in a Day is I want the parties to make their agreements. And then what happens is before we host the official mediation session, from the worksheets, we kind of know what the agreements of the parties are. We draft all the template documents ahead of their mediation session. So when the parties arrive at our office, we're reviewing their final divorce documents. So the program really is done in a day. By the time the parties leave, we've signed the decree, we've signed the parenting plan, everything's notarized. The following business day, the documents
Hmm.
are sent to the court. Divorce is done 60 days later in the state of Arizona. There's really not a more efficient way to approach the topic. And I'll tell you the reason we came up with that whole approach is my law partner Kate had a one of the nightmare divorce cases where every issue you could fight out could be fought out, and it was fought out. The parties spent over $200,000 between the
Oh,
two of them
wow.
fighting the case out. And I asked Kate, I said, "What's your consult notes say about the results in this case?" And she flipped back to the beginning of the file. It was joint legal decision making. What's the final order say? Joint legal decision making. Parenting plan was going to be equal parenting plan. Division of the assets, that did occur. And it's just sort of like, there's got to be a better way to help people get through this process than spending like the kids, Harvard tuition.
Hmm.
So that's kind of how the program was born.
Wow, that I will tell you, that's a lot of great information, and it's not a program that I've ever heard anywhere else. And so I'm pretty sure that just the name in itself, Divorced in a Day, you have to get a lot of questions around that, I would think.
We do. And the most common question is this real? Can this actually happen? And the answer is yes. We've been doing this for almost 3 years now. It'll be 3 years in March. And
Hmm.
we have a 100% success rate with our clients who signed up for the program. Because really, we try to resolve a lot of the work ahead of time with the parties so that the mediation is going to be successful. And here's the thing, while the parties are going through their worksheets, questions are going to come up. Our worksheets can't contemplate every situation for every
Right.
family. So we have a policy where basically when a question arises, we send the parties a group email, identify the issue, and we're going to talk about what the answers to the question are. And for the most part, especially in family court, none of the options or answers are wrong. I just want them to choose the best one for their family and not
Hmm.
spend a bunch of money and heartache fighting about what really is a foregone conclusion. So yeah, we get a lot of questions about that. As far as I know, we're the only firm that does it. And I really when I talk about the program, it's something I'm very excited about. And I really do want to like revolutionize the way people can get divorced.
Well, and again, you said you hit the nail on the head when you said revolutionize, because again, it is something that is vastly different today that I'm pretty sure as hard as divorce is, people would look for again, an easier, faster, more cost-effective way. And this certainly sounds like this is it. So now, with the divorce options that you offer, including Divorced in a Day, are you seeing more people gravitate towards one or the other more frequently? And why would you say that's the case?
Yeah, great question. So, especially once we're doing a lot of social media marketing, I love coming on podcasts. Anybody who wants to talk about the Divorce in a Day program, I want to get this information out there because it's such a good solution for all those problems you just listed,
Hmm.
about traditional divorce litigation. A big portion of our converts for the program actually come in for an initial consultation. And really, when the parties say, we've drifted apart, we want the best thing for the kids, this is how I see the finances shaking up. Does this sound like it's within reason? We talk about those. And when people are asking those kinds of questions, and when they're approaching their divorce with that kind of disposition, I dare I say the program almost sells itself because
Hmm.
nobody wants to go back and forth for the most part. So many people already know what the financial allocation is going to look like. Either there's tons of money that needs to be split, or we're going down to split credit card debt, right? And I want the people to be able to solve those issues in the best manner for their family. Most of the time people aren't super thrilled about walking out of the office at the end of the day, but every client after we finish this program goes, that was possible, and
Hmm.
it's the best way to approach a bad situation and bad topic.
Right. Right. If there's any bright light, this is it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And really, whatever happened, whatever brought you to the family family lawyer's chair for the consults happened. And it's like, let's pick up the pieces and let's figure out what's going to happen for your family in the future. Because
Mm-hmm.
especially when kids are involved, you're going to have weddings, funerals, family reunions, graduations, band concerts, shows, all those things that you don't want to put your kids in the middle of having to choose, am I inviting mom or dad? It's like, I want you to be successful co-parents. I want you to do the best thing you can for your
Right.
kids. And this is, as far as I'm concerned, the best way to do it.
Well, thank you for that. And that was a lot of, again, great information that I'm pretty sure anybody who will be watching this or listening to this podcast will be able to take away and realize that there is something else out there other than the traditional litigation that they're probably most familiar with and have heard of. Again, it's certainly something that was fairly new to me. So, again, I appreciate you sharing all of that great information. Now, what is the best way to learn about Divorce in a Day, or any of these other options to see if they are, the right candidate for this program?
Yeah, great question. The One of the things I like to do is have people just review our website. We've got a couple of videos,
Okay.
FAQ page, and then obviously some write-ups about what divorced in a day is, how it actually works. It specifies what kind of timelines we're dealing with, both statutorily and just logistically. I know it's divorced in a day, but
Mm-hmm.
I need a couple days to prepare your paperwork, and get the mediation set. So it just explains all of those things. Website's a great write up. Also, I love doing consults or even taking cold calls. Give our paralegal Barbara a call and she'll get you on the consult calendar. We do not charge consultation fees for the Divorced in a Day program. I'm happy to give information to people. And really, when it comes down to how do we vet who's going to be an ideal candidate, we have done Divorced in Days, like I said, for people who just need a constructive parenting plan that's going to be good for them. And we split the credit card debt.
Mm-hmm.
Over the summer, we did a Divorced in a Day. And this one made me a little nervous. I'll be straight with you. The party's net worth was in excess of $10 million. That
Oh,
had four
wow.
kids. One was adopted, cars all over the place, multiple houses, accounts I hadn't even heard of, talking like private trust money. Was very this could have been an absolute nightmare case for the parties if they weren't agreeable, but they were super cooperative. And they came in and their case was done in a day. And to me, that kind of just showed like the as long as the parties are going to work with us, there's really no case that isn't appropriate for it. As long
Mm-hmm.
as like I said, parties want to do a bulk of the communication and tell me how their final order should shape up.
Well, I can't imagine that if they are not amicable, that it certainly would make your job a little bit more challenging.
Mhm.
And I'm sure you've seen it all, just like the scenario you just mentioned. I mean, every situation I'm pretty sure can be intense, and the goal is a meeting of the mind. So if you can help kind of navigate that for a divorcing couple, then that's great. So that's very helpful. Well, thank you so much for your time today and just covering everything that you have. And if you could leave us with the best way to contact you for anybody who might be looking for your services.
Yeah, absolutely. Website is www.simonslawgroup.com. Simmons is Simonds. Otherwise, the phone number for the firm, we have somebody answering it, Barbara, our paralegal, 8 to 5. The phone number for the firm's 480-433-9747.
Well, thank you again, Chris, so much for being such a pleasant guest and providing all of this great information. And as I've said before, there's something for everybody in this. While divorce is hard, it's traumatic, but when you have someone like Simmons Law Group just right there helping you kind of navigate this journey, you're not doing it alone. Please reach out to them. I'm sure that they would be a wealth of knowledge and very helpful in making this a little bit easier of a journey for you. Thank you again, Chris. And if you can hang on just for a second here, one of the things that I like to conclude with is just a positive message in the day. And it's just very, very simple today. Be good to yourself. Life is hard, life is challenging, but sometimes we have, we make it a little bit more difficult than it has to be. So don't overthink things. And just again, just give yourself some grace today and just be kind to yourself. And with that, have a great day.
Great message. Thanks for hosting, Michelle.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into the Real About Real Estate podcast with Michelle Hayward. Like, follow, and subscribe to continue to get the real about real estate.